Okay, we're on. Okay, so
Change it to the screen.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so nothing global in Java. The interesting thing is having a piece of code that every single code can access, no problem, and as if it's in its own area. There is that, but we'll see how to get to there. It's not really global.
What do you mean there's no global?
Well, when you learn other languages, you'll see the idea of making like a number. Say you want to call a number pi, right? Pi is 3.14 or whatever it is, and make the number pi, and every single piece of code can just say pi, and I'll get that piece. I get that instance variable that belongs to nobody. That's just thing. Everything has to belong to a class. Everything. Okay. So what do you do if you have a method whose behavior doesn't depend on an instance variable? Like the round method in the math class, right? What does the round class do? If you pass in, 7.5 and it rounds it off to 8, you don't need any instance variable. It's just a method that works on whatever you pass it. That's it, right?
Okay.
All the entire math class, which has a lot of functions that a lot of methods that do things, for math, like round, pi, max, min, right, all those type of things. It doesn't have to be any instance variables. So it would seem like it's a waste of heap space to actually make an object for each time you want to make a math, use the math method. You don't need to make an instance, right? Instance means you need it because there's an instance that you're setting the variables. But we don't need an instance. We just want to run the code.
Yeah.
Okay, so methods in the math class, for example, don't use instance variables. And because they're static, you don't have an instance of a math class. You can't make an instance of a math class. It's impossible. Okay, all you do is do the math class. For example, I don't know if you remember when we did, for example, we used the math. I think when we used, I'm trying to remember what we did with it. I think for the random,
Yes.
Used math.
Yes.
So
In the leader.
yeah. So math, when you use it, you like you see how it's uppercase.
Yes.
It's uppercase because it's actually a class. It's not an object.
Yeah.
You're not making a new math instance, and then doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a math class in call. That's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Math, that's round.
Right.
Round is the method.
Of a class, not of an
Yeah.
object. So you don't do this. In fact, you can't. It's impossible. There's no way to do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, like for example, over here, what you do right away is you do math. The class use its method 4.2.2 to round it.
Basically, what is chapter 10? What is supposed to be? What are
We're
you?
talking about the deal of static.
Oh, okay.
Static means it doesn't. A static method means keep it in the class because it doesn't depend on an instance variable. We just need this code. Okay, so we organize it under math, but you never need an object. There's no such thing as a math object. It's impossible. You're not allowed to. So it won't let you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want the method.
Mm-hmm.
So look, you see over here, this line.
Yeah.
It's integer x equals math.round 42.2. So we're calling the round method by using the class.
Yeah.
Without making an object first. We didn't do this first.
Yeah. But it's already in Java. Java let you to use it.
But you can even it's not that it's in Java. You can yourself can make a static class. This is part of Java was giving you. Java is giving you this functionality.
But you can use it statically.
You can make a class static. Let's see if I made an example over here. There you go. We'll learn about this later on. But this class static has no instance variables.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
So I can use it. See over here where this is a bad example. I actually did it because I didn't make it static over here. Let's give us over here. This might be a good example.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Anyways, by static class, you can't, if you make it static, make an instance of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Often, but not always, a class with static methods is not meant to be instantiated, like math. Wasn't meant to be made an object. You can't make an object out of that. It's not always the case. For example, you've been using static the whole time and didn't realize that. For example, every time you've written, let's go to any simple example.
Public static void.
There we go. The main method.
Yeah.
The main method is always a static method. For example, let's go over here. Right? Here's the main method.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always static. It means this method doesn't belong to an instance.
Yeah, you can make an object from main.
But ain't that? Well, it means a method. But if you...
Yeah, you can make an object from that, from static void.
But you can never make an object from a method.
Huh?
You can never make an object from a method.
Not from a method, from the public class test board.
That you could make an object from.
Ah, you can make an object?
Yeah, that you could. Why not?
Oh.
You do right now. Look. Well, this example. Well, yeah, we do. Where is it? Well, we don't do it here. But anyways, you could. But we don't do that just because we know that what it's for.
Okay.
But you could put this main method inside a. We haven't had an example. Let's see if we had an example like that. But we had an example. Whatever, you could if you want. There's no here you go. There's a dog, which you're making an object from it, and inside itself there's a static method called main.
Yes.
Right? This static method belongs to the class, not to each object.
No, yes.
Okay? For example, if you were Java, the way Java actually launches an application, when you kick off the application, when you go Java dog, right? You go like that in the command line, throw on the code. What Java is doing basically behind the scenes is going this dog dot main. That's basically what it's doing.
When you do Java dog?
When you press Java dog from the command line to run this dog, which then launches main, Java is basically doing this.
Okay.
And notice it's from the class, not an object. It doesn't go, the dog.
Yeah, it's doing the class, but doesn't.
Right, because the static method belongs to the class.
Oh, yes, it's not. Okay.
Okay? Okay. So, remember we learned about abstract classes? We learned in chapter maybe 8. Now, you want to make the animal is abstract. You can't make an object of it. So, this is a slightly different than abstract. Okay? In the sense that an abstract class, you make a class abstract, you can't use it, but you can subclass it and then use it.
Yes.
Right? Unless you mark it final. Over here, we don't want it to be subclassed either. When you have in this case, we actually make the you'll see we make the constructor private. You can never actually build it. It's impossible. Later on, we'll learn about some tricks with this, but you can't. This is built by a private instructor.
Yeah.
Let me put it over here. Like you see over here, math has a private access in Java.math. You cannot access the. In other words, you can never construct it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There are exceptions, but we'll learn about that on. In general, there's no way to construct something that has a private constructor, because every time you make an instance of an object, it has to call the constructor. But if that constructor is private, you can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You can call when you say the private constructor.
Right.
But later on,
We'll learn about later on a trick in a singleton pattern, but that's much later on. Let's do it in the next book. We'll talk about that.
Next book?
Yeah.
We have a next book also?
Well, while we're doing Android, we're going to do some patterns. So we'll learn around. Okay. So a static method means, I have some notes here. I'll show you some stuff I did.
Nope. Oh wow.
Static method. Do I have it over here? I didn't put it in there.
You're doing like notes like that, huh?
Anyways, so where are we? A static method cannot use non-static instance variables, right? Because an instance variable belongs to an object, so that method cannot use it because it's based on the class. Okay, and you cannot use non-static methods either. You cannot use anything that's not static. Static method can only use another static method or a static variable. Okay, what does a static variable mean? We'll see in a second. Okay, and let me show. Oh, let's do this next line. A static variable is a value that is same for all instances of the class. I'll read it again.
Static variable value is same for all instances.
Okay. In other words, watch this. You see, look at this code over here for a second. Say here is a instance variable static called duck count.
Yes.
The constructor, remember, which gets called every time you make a new one.
Yes.
Increments duck count by 1.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So what would happen now is if I make one object of duck, this will get incremented.
Yeah.
No, I get incremented. But it's all shared. So if I would do duck get duck count, it would be 5, and this would be 5 if I made 5 of them.
What's going to be 5?
If you made 5 ducks, they'd all have the same duck count. It'd be 5. The duck count would be 5. Because it's shared in the class. They share this instance variable at the class level. Look it over. Tell me when you get it.
Okay, increment each time the data constructor runs. It will keep increment each time because it's only 1 because that on is very zero. Why it will be reset to 0?
It won't be reset to 0.
Why it's supposed to be reset?
Well, if you make a new object, usually, if you look, duck count equals 0, then it should be 0.
Okay.
But it's static. Static means it belongs.
Huh?
Static means it belongs to the class, not to the object. So I can make 100 objects, and that each keeps on updating the one that's by the class level. Imagine like this. Let's do a screenshot. Oh, nice. You guys test it out. Let's see if I have an example here. No, don't lie. It's really easy. I get it. Ready? We'll test out that duck. Make sure it's like this. Let's see if we can get some of this in here. We'll put out this, I guess I should. For now, because they're not know what it is anyways. Okay, ready? Okay, you tell me what this code what would this code show? Okay, who tell me? What would this code show?
Gonna show one. No, that counts.
Okay, what would it show? If three with spits out.
When you're gonna print, it's gonna print that. Or maybe every time that is count, maybe every time that you create an object, it count one. Like say the first one is one, the second one is two, and the third one is three.
Okay, now what if I go like this?
So you remember every time that you're doing count, you remember the last number. It's not reset it to zero.
Okay, so now what about this? Okay, so what would this print out?
Why is it on your phone? It's gonna print those numbers that was before.
So what's it gonna be?
It's gonna be 1, 2, 3. So here, final sum. Yeah, you just print them.
So this is gonna be one and this is gonna be two?
1 second. Look. Yeah, 1 second. Okay.
Remember, this is static. Static means it belongs to the class. That means all objects have the same exact value. Because they don't own it. It's like going, it's like.
So it's gonna be everyone is gonna be the same number at 1, 1, 1.
No, not 1, 1, 1 because we created 3. So every time it gets created, we're making.
So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3.
Can't be. Then it's different numbers.
What?
It's gonna be 3 different numbers, or it's 1, 2, 3.
It's supposed to be one number 0.
No. So let's walk through it. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Here's the main. We create a new object.
Yeah.
So we're calling the constructor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it updates the duck count to 1.
Okay.
Here it updates it to 2.
Yeah.
Here it updates to 3.
Okay.
And now we're seeing what's in all of them. They're all going to have 3. Because every time I did this, it's updating. It's updating what's in there.
Oh, I thought it's updating I thought it's like on every object is 1. Like every object is a
They're all.
unique number. Like 1, 2, 3. Not like.
No. Look, I'll make it even easier to see.
So
Every
you want
time-
to tell me when you call to Z, when you make that Z, okay?
Yeah.
And it reached to 3, so everyone is 3.
Yeah, because it updates for each one.
Oh, because it's the class, it's not a method.
This is an instance variable that is in the class.
So when you put what?
Static means it belongs to the class.
And when you create a new object, is not the class object or it's just the method object?
What are you talking about?
When you make that X
See, this is an object. This is a real object.
from a
But when
class
we
dot,
Yeah, but this duck count belongs. It's a static. It belongs to the class.
why you put that count and not that? How can you do it?
What are you talking about? Duck count is over here. It's instance variable.
Oh, okay.
Right. This is the constructor.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's only in constructor you can do it?
What?
That.
You mean the
Like when
call
you,
this? You're saying?
when you're doing static, private static, only in constructor, because you wrote classic dark. No.
How you're saying this duck count can only be used in the constructor? You're saying?
No. The method dark.
Method. It's not a method. You're forgetting the last chapter. You have to review last chapter.
Constructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Constructor is not a method.
I know. So you can do static only with a constructor?
Where's it? Where this?
Static. The private static. Can you do it only with constructor?
Where you see static over here by constructor?
The upper, the instance is static.
Where?
Why are you doing right now only constructor and not just regular method?
But where do you see a static constructor? This static is by the instance variable.
Yes,
This is not static.
I know.
So where are you saying static by constructor?
So, okay, decide now when you create the private static in Duck, why are you making constructor? Why not just doing a regular method? Why not writing
Okay.
a regular method?
Fine. You want to do that? Let's do that.
So, you know, if it's the same, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We're just doing it here because we want to do it. The duck count. Basically, when you create a duck, this is an example of when it would be used. The constructor will say, okay, here's a duck, and I'm updating my list. I know I made another duck.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But you're right. I can put this anywhere, so I can make. Let's do a different one. Ready? Watch this. Let's put one that really does not make any sense, but we'll just do it for the sake of this. Let's do.
So basically, what you want is just count the object, not count the. You right?
Okay.
Right? When you're doing that count, when you create every time an object, you count the object, the classes, and you save it on the static. When you say save it to 3.
Say it again.
I don't know.
Say it again. I was
Not about the static. I'm trying to understand it more.
It just belongs to the class. You'll see when we run this code, you'll see it better. Now, let's run it now, so you can see right away. Ready? So here it is. You save it. Okay, so let's go over here to command line. First of all, where are we? Okay, so we have. Okay, see what happened? X dot count equals 1. Next equals 2. Next equals 3, and they're all equal 3.
1 second.
Look at the. I'll put it side by side so you can see it side by side.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, look what happens.
Right. So basically, what you're trying, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me when you're doing that. What are you trying to tell me?
Look over here. See how it says 333?
Yes.
When did I ever update X's thing to be 3? Over here it was 1. When did it come 3?
Yeah, why?
You tell me.
Because it's not reset the static up there to 0. It's every time that you're doing one, it stay with the same static. It means this number gonna stay always. Right?
For who?
For the class.
And therefore every object
Every object
use
you
it.
create that used with the dot count get
Right.
the number that stayed that was before. Like,
right. I give you
why it's good for us? Like, why is it so good? Why is
let's
it good?
contrast. Well, I'll show you, for you. Let's make sure one. I'll contrast it with this. Let's do one called duck height. Okay, and I'm not gonna make this static. Okay, and equals 0. And when I call duck height, right in the beginning, I go like this and make it equal 1. Okay. Now what? Look what will happen. Okay, and then we'll do. Okay, so looks like it's the
No,
same thing.
change also the x that tag height. You need to change it to y z.
What are you talking about?
On the last one,
Oh,
when
I
you
see what
make
you're saying. Right, hold on, I gotta change. Okay, thank you. Which one did I see? Okay, so everything, the code is exactly the same, exactly the same from here and down, except this one is static, this is not static. The
so
only difference. Okay, and I'm gonna run it. Okay.
one. Why is so basically, when it's not static, every time that you create an object, you reset the object to zero. It's tell you this is the first time that you create it.
Well, okay, let me do one more thing, because I think you're still missing one part.
What am I missing?
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
What I'm missing?
I think you got it. I'm gonna do one more thing to make sure you get it. Watch this. Public um, set height. Oops. Okay. Equals. Oops. Okay, I'll pass in P. Alright, so we made a thing that gets the height. That sets the height. Okay?
Hmm?
Now let's go over here. When we create X, let's do X that set height equals. Let's do it after, so you can see how it happens first. Go down over here, and let's go like this. The X that set height, let's set it to 4. Okay? Let's do 187. This will be 9. Okay? Where are they wrong, Habibi? Oh, okay. There we go. That's fine. Okay, so you see what we did over here? We're setting the height.
Yes. You need to change it to x, y, z.
Okay, so you see what
No,
happened?
you need to change it to x, y, z.
Thank you.
No,
Over here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you see what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So, oops. These you see over here that these do not belong to the class. Because they all have different variables. They all have different values. This one does. These don't.
So they not belong to the class.
Right. Now watch this. Remember, we can create a method that's static. A method just like this one. It sets the count. Okay? Remember, remember, this is a very bad example in real life, but just show you the ideas. Okay? And just like over there, watch this. is 246. Let's do this, this and this, and we'll do 3. Okay? What's going to happen over here?
It's gonna change those numbers.
So what's it going to be?
46, 84, 3,
Nope.
2.
Remember, this is updating the class. This is updating the class. This is updating the class.
Okay.
So what's it going to be?
3?
Yep.
Why is not gonna be 46?
Because this did it last.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Basically,
There.
the static it means count the less number.
All static means is that this instance variable doesn't belong to the object. It belongs. Think of it belonging like in a bank, and they're all using the same bank to get that number out.
So the less
They don't own it. In other words, in a certain sense, it's against object-oriented programming. In other words, it doesn't belong to the object.
Yeah, static does not belong to that.
Right. It's a class. It's a class object, class-oriented programming. In other words, static really is. You have to be careful. In other words, they're not used that often. I mean, you'll see when you write code. In general, you want to make things into an object, and not static. It belongs to object. Right? Your eyes are your eyes, not someone else's eyes. If you did static eyes and someone else changes his eyes, your eyes change. That's obviously not what you want. So in general, static, be careful, because if you start using too much static, you're probably not thinking object-oriented programming, and you're letting everything be in one class, which is not good. But there's certain times where it's useful.
Yeah.
Okay? Certain times.
Static is so much information. Yeah, and it's someone.
It's really, I hear it. This is the first time I'm learning it. But if you think about it, all it is very simple. It doesn't exist in the object. It exists in the class.
Yeah.
So imagine that every single object, 100,000 objects, you all get the same exact value.
Okay.
What's it used
But
for?
when you create a new object, you put a different number.
What do you mean?
When you create a new object, it's count.
That's only because I put it over there. It doesn't have to be in there. I can take that out. It doesn't have to be in there.
Oh.
This is just because I wanted it in there. I can take this out as well.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna rewind it when I'm gonna be home to understand better. I understand the basic, like that is the static is a class, and every time that so it's not like everyone share the same instance no matter what.
Yeah. So a static variable value is the same for all instances of the class. I'll put this in a note and I'm gonna go. I'll send you these notes after.
Send me all the chapter notes so you have.
Let's see. I'm gonna put this in here for now. So static instance variable is the value the same for all instances of the class. Okay, and if we do for the static method, it's the same thing. The exact definition over here. Do they have anything over here? There you go. Okay, static method means that the behavior. Oops. Whoa. The keys don't shine up, so I can't really see what I'm doing. Okay, see here? Static method, the behavior is not dependent on the instance variable. So the instance object is required, right? You don't need an instance. No is required, just a class. Just like the math.
Okay.
Okay? So that's the basic. In other words, the idea of static means the objects mean absolutely nothing to it. Zero nada.
Okay.
Okay? It can be a million and each object will be a million. It can be a method that says hello and print out an instant a static variable, that'll be the same for all classes. In its mind, it doesn't care about classes at all. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but notice one thing over here. So we basically a static method cannot look at a instance variable unless it's static, because it doesn't make any sense. It can't look at something that that's not in the class. I'll give you an example. Let's do it over here. Ready? Okay, so remember set height, right?
Good.
Okay, so set height sets the height, which is not static, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one. Watch this. Just for the sake of something. Let's call it print height. Okay? Print height, and let's make it static. Okay? Okay, and it'll print out the height. Oops. Okay? Right?
Gonna be the height for which object?
Huh?
Okay.
You're right, and the question you just asked is a very good question. Right? This is a static method.
Okay.
Which duck height is it going to print out? Whose? It won't compile. Watch, it won't compile. I'll say not allowed.
Why? Why it's not? Because it's not.
Non-static variable duck height cannot be referenced from a static context. In other words, from the method. Over here, this is a static method. It can only see other static methods or a static instance variable. It cannot see this. Because this doesn't belong to the class. This belongs to objects.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This belongs to a class.
So if you're gonna put print dot count, it's gonna print it.
That'll be fine, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll show you that. Let's put this over here, and let's compile it. No problem.
Okay, run it. See what's gonna print.
Well, I never used it, so it's not going to do anything anyways.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be the same thing as doing over here, printing the height.
Oh.
Okay?
Wow.
So that's the basic gist in short.
A lot of information.
It is and it isn't. If you just think about it for 1 second, if static just means only in the class, and therefore can only see things that are just in the class. That's it. Okay? Let's go to the next part and then we'll stop. Let's see.
No, where are you going? Oh.
If this goes down to there.
Yeah, but I need to learn. Like we're gonna learn in the future with what we need to use it at all the time.
Well, I'll give you for an example right here. Pi. Pi has a value that never changes. If we go over here,
Yeah.
let's Google it for a second.
Oh. I got you.
What is pi? Pi is 3.14159265T59. Even more. It goes on forever.
Yeah, I know.
Right? This never changes. This instance variable never changes.
Okay.
So no one, it should belong in the class, number one. And number two, it should be final. Right? Final means it cannot change.
Yes.
So it should be static and final. No, you don't need to make an object because it doesn't depend on any specific object. So you just do math like this. Capital math.phi. Okay? Okay, I think we'll stop there. Tomorrow we'll continue.
That's it?
Because I want you, because tomorrow depends on having all this down good. Because we're going to go into a static initializer. So, and remember, all this stuff you're learning right now, this is good stuff and it's important, but it's not nearly important as what you'll have from chapter 7, 8, and 9. The past couple of chapters are a million times more important than this.
Yes.
But with static variables, you're not going to be realistically using them that often.
Yeah, I'm still working on chapter 9. Very good. Chapter 7. So I'm not gonna really review them. Like when we're gonna finish chapter 10. Before they going, or when you're teacher, I want to review the 7, 8, 9, like that I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
we're gonna do this tomorrow. It's an easy chapter. It's not This chapter's not hard. You think static is hard. You realize that it's
No,
compared to
because no, I
polymorphism.
want to get what?
I was saying this compared to polymorphism is nothing. This is take you a second. Once you think it over, you realize that static
Yeah,
is
yeah, I need to.
it's just a new concept. But you'll see that it's really a simple concept. All it means is in the class, not in the object, and therefore can only see things in the class, and that's it.
Recording it?
Yeah, turn it off.
Mm.